I'm Brian Cuban. I'm 52 years old, originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I lived in Dallas, Texas since 1986. I'm a lawyer, First Amendment activist, now moving into eating disorder activist. The reason I want to be in the eating disorder activist area is because, especially from a male standpoint, there is just not a lot of publicity about it. You know, I first came down with anorexia, transitioned into anorexia when I was, I want to say, 18. Freshman at Penn State. This was 1979. This was before Karen Carpenter. This was before people really knew, you know, about anorexia, before it had become mainstream. I didn't understand what I was going through. I didn't know there was a name for it. First, there was the anorexia, and then I transitioned within that year into bulimia. And actually, it's the bulimia that stuck with me for most of my life, not the anorexia. For me, the bulimia, it gives you that tension release. It gives you that shame release. It gives you that antidepressant release, like you're taking an antidepressant. For that moment, everything feels right in the world when you purge. Now I'll be okay. Now I'll fit in. And you don't even know what that means. But then the shame sets in. What did I just do? So you keep going through this vicious cycle of binging, purging, relief, shame. With what I suffer from, body dysmorphic disorder, which is in the spectrum of obsessive compulsive disorder, it becomes like this spinning wheel that takes you all through life. Body dysmorphic disorder is when you look in the mirror, basically. It's called the broken mirror. I think Catherine Phillips, the author, coined that. It's called the broken mirror syndrome, or imagined ugliness is when you look in the mirror and see a distorted image of yourself. Whether it's you see yourself as bald, no matter how much hair you have, whether you have acne and you see this huge scar covering your face, whether you see yourself as fat. For me, it's stomach. And because I was always called fat, and that was, you know, at home and the bullying, I became very obsessed with my stomach and my sides. And is there a moment when you can say, boom, that, you know, that's when it happened? No, it's memories. You know, memories are faulty. Memories are only memories of memories. But there are certain events, you know, certain traumatic events. And the first really traumatic event was when I was, you know, pantsed by friends of mine. And I had on these kind of gold shiny, it was pre-disco, but these gold shiny pants my older brother had given me. And I loved them. I idolized my older brother. But they were tight on me, you know, and my stomach hanging out. And I'm walking home with these kids, and they start making fun of them. Hey, those pants, Cuban, look at that. Your stomach's hanging out. You think maybe those are a little too tight? You know, stuff like that. Kids being kids. But then it got past kids being kids. They start pulling at them. Okay, hey, let's see those pants, how tight they are. Then they start tearing them off me. Then they all joined in and ripped my pants off me. I mean, they assaulted me. And they threw my pants in the street. So here I'm this, you know, 11-year-old heavy kid in my underwear, a mile from home. I have to go out. They're all laughing and go on their own way. And I had to pick up my clothes, hold them over me like to hide my underwear, walk home a mile. I remember it like it was yesterday. I could go to that spot in Pittsburgh today and show you exactly where it happened. And I have a visual memory of every single kid who was there. I had started restricting my food over the summer before school because I had really decided that body control was the way to acceptance at that point. So I had the mindset, you know, body control was the way to be accepted. And it was my freshman year, moving in, and I'm standing in my dorm actually at the window, where the parking lot's right outside. It's a branch campus of Penn State. And there was this pretty redheaded girl, and she's standing there talking to her friends. This large picture window, it's open, and breeze is coming. I'm looking out, I'm smiling, and she smiles back. And then she turns to her friends and said, "He is ugly, ugly." And it sounded like, it was like a boom from God. Okay, I mean, I heard it, you know, and like everyone heard it. And that's what I remember, ugly. She repeated it. Yeah, and so I closed the window. I was, you know, humiliated. Basically just barricaded myself in my room, didn't, you know, for a while. And that is the moment I decided that I was going to starve myself and I needed to be thinner. And that is when the obsessive compulsive thoughts really started taking hold. I needed to be thinner. I needed to reduce my food intake even more. My lowest point was in Dallas when I was drug-addicted bulimic. I was using drugs heavily, and I was binging and purging all the time, and it got to the point where I put a 45 automatic in my mouth. You know, depression, I was off my medication, and I was dry firing a 45 automatic in my mouth, just trying to get comfortable with the act. I've decided there was no point in going on. I hated myself so much. I had, I guess it was within that same year, I ended up having a alcoholic, drug-induced blackout, in which I did a lot of embarrassing things. I was unfaithful, you know, and I did a lot of embarrassing things. And that was finally the point where I said, I didn't have any more looks in the abyss. You know, that one more and I was going to die. And that was it. And you know, I'd been seeing a psychiatrist the whole time too, but I'd been lying to him. I'd been going to sessions high on coke. You know, I hadn't been willing to face my childhood, you know, and face all the things that started all this. At that point is when I said, you know what, it's time to get honest. You know, without honesty, you know, there's nothing. You know, there's no recovery. Without honesty, there's no recovery. So the next day, you know, I told my older brothers I'd relapsed. They're like, you know, they were pushing for rehab, and I said, well, I'm going to see my shrink first. I went in my shrink, and he said, well, you know, let's try this. The next day, I walked in a 12-step. You know, because in order to get the eating disorders under control, the bulimia and all these other things, you have to get the addiction under control. You have to clear your head. Yeah. So I walked in a 12-step and never looked back. Now I'm sober and eating disorder free since 2006. Been in recovery since 2006. And, you know, just looking ahead, you know, towards the light, just walking towards the light. And I've done more in the last 6 years that I've been eating disorder free and drug free and all the, you know, all the other unhealthy behavior free than I did in my whole lifetime. My book is called Shattered Image. It is coming out in August of this year. It is about my struggle and recovery from body dysmorphic disorder, which includes eating disorder, my recovery from anorexia and bulimia, drug addiction, and steroid addiction. I wanted to write this book to help other children, to help other adults who are going through the same thing. To show people, to show boys and women that you're not alone, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that you can walk towards the light, and that you can overcome these things and lead a happy, productive life. Recovery is absolutely possible, but you have to take charge. You have to get honest about where you are. And getting honest about where you are, you may not be able to do that on your own. You have to seek, you know, find someone that somebody loves you. Talk to somebody that loves you about it, you know. Don't be afraid to talk to people. There is somebody out there that will talk to you about this and who will not judge you. The best thing in my recovery has been the support of people that love me and the realization that no one is judging me. My advice to young kids who feel that they have body image, you know, who are unhappy with their body image or are seeing all these images and maybe thinking about getting into, you know, extreme eating behaviors or thinking about extreme eating behaviors is, you know, you have to be happy with yourself. You are not your peer group. You are not your friend. You are a unique person. You have your own life ahead of you, and you do not need to do things to become someone else. No matter what the images tell you, no matter what the movie stars tell you, you have your own life path. You're a beautiful person. We are all beautiful people. We all have our own body types, and that's okay. And it's okay to be okay with that. And don't be pressured by your friends. Don't be pressured by the media. Be who you want to be.